Welcome back, guys. The United States of America Secretary of War, that's a pretty epic name to have just signed a deal with Qatar, allowing Qatar to build a Qatari Air Force base on American soil. Now, I know this might be coming as shocking news, but let's just watch it and talk about it.
No one other than President Trump could have achieved the peace that we believe will be a lasting peace in Gaza, and Qatar played a substantial role from the beginning, working with our folks to ensure.
Peace is quite a big word. I would not be using the word peace here. We don't have peace with Gaza. We don't have peace with Hamas. We have a deal to release the hostages, and what's going to come after is still a big question mark. But just let's keep continuing watching.
Sure that came about. So I want to thank you for that historic piece. We look forward to joining the president as that gets, it's already been delivered, but as that's formally signed as well. And I'm also proud that today we're signing a letter of acceptance to build a Qatari Emiri Air Force facility at the Mountain Home Air Base in Idaho. The location will be host a contingent of Qatari F-15s and pilots to enhance our combined training, increase lethality, interoperability. It's just another example of our partnership. And I hope you know, Your Excellency, that you can count on us. We saw in Midnight Hammer, in those moments when we needed support in the region, that Qatar was there without a doubt, without a blink. And that has meant a great deal. I've had the opportunity to see that firsthand operationally. I want to thank you. I want to thank your country for that, for hosting our troops. And it's wonderful to welcome you to the Pentagon.
The other news this Friday night, the Pentagon revealing plans to build a new Qatari Air Force facility in Idaho. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth says pilots from Qatar will train to fly F-15 fighter jets at the Mountain Home Air Base. Qatar has played a major role in this Mideast ceasefire talks. It's also home to America's largest military base in the Middle East.
Well, that's quite a big news. Let's play the devil's advocate. You know, not the devil's advocate. Let's be the angel's advocate for now and give you a little bit context. You see, Qatar is a very small nation. That's a funny picture here. See this guy with the beard there. So, to help you understand, Qatar is a tiny, mini country neighboring with Saudi Arabia and very close to Iran. Now, Qatar is also holding one of the biggest United States air base in the Middle East. You know, to give you some numbers, we're talking about over here, they have an air base, which is very, very important for the alliance United States. Numbers are saying that there's about 13,000 U.S. troops stations there. You know, you can see in Syria, Jordan, Iraq, and other places around the Middle East. The United States does have a presence of American military bases in the United States, in the Middle East, and they have a very important strategic role for future operation if it's, you know, against Iran, if it's with the tension coming from Russia, and also to be able to go and protect its allies and its resources in the Middle East. Now, with that given, you need to understand Qatar is tiny. So they don't have a lot of airspace to train their fighter jets, their F-15s and other airplanes that have been given by America. So America is giving that gesture. You can train your pilots here in the United States. We're going to share some of the knowledge with you. There's much more airspace here in America where you can fly around and practice and train and be ready. Because as you can see here in the picture, Qatar, obviously a very tiny nation, is neighboring with Iran. Now, there is tension between Iran and Qatar. I won't say that they're at war, but I won't say also that they're friends. They do share one of the largest oil depots in the world. And Qatar is always a bit worried from the aggression that might come from Iran. And also America want to make sure that's what I'm thinking, at least. They want to make sure that they're not losing Qatar to the asset of evil. That Qatar is going to start joining now Iran, Russia, and China and other forces, and they want to maintain that relationship in the Middle East, which strategically speaking, fair enough. But there is still, you know, you can't really ignore the fact that there is very, very concerning things that are happening right now in regards to America, the Middle East, the peace treaty with Gaza, the hostage return. I mean, Donald Trump, not long ago, went to Qatar and called them great friend, America's best friend, signed a very big deal with Qatar, and later on also received very controversial gifts from Qatar, one of them including a private jet that is worth, I think, about $400 million. And knowing who Qatar is, I can understand where people are very worried from that. Qatar is not for nothing known to be a terror sponsoring state. If you look here, you can see here, that's the deal that they signed about the jet. If you look here, you can see quite clearly how Qatar is not only sponsoring terrorists around the globe. Qatar has become the main haven to hide notorious terrorist organizations and their leaders in their country. Qatar is allegedly reported to have sponsored and support October 7, armed Hamas and other forces around the Middle East that obviously have killed American troops, have American blood on their hands. Qatar, not only that, to make it even more interesting, Qatar is known to be sponsoring radical left-wing jihadist, Islamist, communist organizations among the US universities, campuses, colleges. Why do you think, by the way, this is a Al Jazeera reporter, Qatar not only that owns Al Jazeera, which is banned from reporting in many, many Muslim countries because it's undoubtedly a propaganda tool for the hands of terrorist organizations and undermining Western values. These were 6 Al Jazeera journalists that were proven to be working for Hamas as well as working for Qatar. Just try to imagine for a second if CNN would had 6 of their staff that are official confirmed ISIS fighters, and they are officially working for CNN or Fox News and getting paid. That would be outrageous, obviously. So we know that Qatar and Al Jazeera are deeply involved with the activity of terrorism around the world. I mean, why would you think Hamas would allow Qatari Al Jazeera reporters or Gaza and Al Jazeera reporters to go into their tunnels and record what's happening in the tunnels? They don't even allow the Gazans to go and hide in these tunnels that they build, these underground bunkers. So it can shows you how well is Hamas related to Qatar, and some would say even working for Qatar in some aspects. Now, going back to the colleges, that's something that I think we've been hearing Donald Trump talk about it a lot. We've been hearing Pitt, Secretary of War, Pete, talking about it a lot, that there is a force in the United States that is undermining America from inside and trying to create chaos and instability, and it's being sponsored. It's being sponsored by no one else than enemies of the United States. That's one of these journalists that, by the way, they found his official ID that he was working for Hamas, not only for Al Jazeera. But look here, that's what I said, the reporters going. Qatar, surprise, surprise, is one of the main countries that is giving gifts to American universities. We have Qatar, China, Saudi Arabia. Let's stop on this one. UAE, Kuwait, Russia, Turkey, Iraq, Lebanon, Pakistan, Venezuela, Syria, Palestine. These countries don't share the same values as America, as Europe, as the West. Why do you think they will be interested in sponsoring your universities? Leave it in the comment, throw a wild guess. Why would they want to sponsor the new generation of Americans, of voters in America, and manipulate their brains? Here we can have the top foreign funds for US colleges and universities of all time: Qatar, China, and HK, I'm not so sure what is HK, Germany, England, Canada, Saudi Arabia, Japan, Switzerland. So we can see different reports. It's quite hard to track, but undoubtedly there's a lot of money that is coming from extremist Muslim countries to support all kind of Cornell, Georgetown, Carnegie Mellon, Texas, and etc. These are universities in the US, and no wonder when you send your kids to university, they come back saying that Osama bin Laden was right, that Hitler was right, and that Iran are the good guys, Hezbollah, Hamas are freedom fighters and Israel is the bad guys, and also that American troops are committing, crimes against humanity, meanwhile ignoring the crimes that are happening under Muslim countries, Sudan, Congo. There's so many Christians being killed, beheaded, chopped down with machetes all around the Middle East and Africa in Muslim countries by Muslims. Many of them are either supported by Qatar directly or indirectly. And all of this is being suddenly ignored, and America is allowing Qatar to build a US base in America. So we played the angel's advocate. All right. We want to give them airspace. We want to give them a place to train. They pay a lot of money. They're big supporters of America, as per se, but they're also big supporters of a lot of the enemies of America. Now, let's play the devil's advocate. Could it be that this is part of the reward for allowing Qatar to help bring back the hostages back home? Now, undoubtedly, they did help, but let's not forget that they also helped the people who kidnapped these hostages. So if someone breaks into your house, kill your people, kidnap your children, and then rob your house, and then keep swearing that they want to come and destroy your country, and they have a very good neighbor that encouraged them and gave them all the equipment, tool, and fundings to do that, and then later on, they help you bring back these hostages and you choose to reward them. Why would America choose to do that? Is it related to the gifts and the money that they keep pouring on America? I'll leave that to you to decide. But is that really the smart move from the United States of America, from the Republicans? Now, don't get me wrong. I was pro Donald Trump to get elected. God forbid if Kamala or Biden or someone from that fanatic leftist group would have become the president of the United States. We would have not seen any of the hostages come back alive. We would have not seen any peace deal made in the Middle East, and probably Iran would have had a nuclear weapon by now. So I am all thankful for this presidency of Donald Trump and his cabinet. I think they're doing a great job in many, many aspects, but that doesn't mean that they are immune to criticism. And when they come and start dancing with the devil and strengthening alliances with countries that are undoubtedly don't have the interests of the United States. Heck, America came and said right after the failing Israeli assassination of the leadership of Hamas in Qatar, America came later on and said that Qatar is going to receive a full defense immunity by the United States, and anyone who attacks Qatar is like attacking the United States. Don't you think that's a bit bizarre? Shouldn't America be coming and telling them, guys, stop sponsoring terrorism, stop hiding terrorists who are wanted by the American law? These are not only terrorists who are enemies of Israel, they're enemies of America and many other Western countries. So instead of pressuring them to stop that, you're rewarding them again and again. Like I said, leave it in the comment. Just sounds really weird. By the way, if you haven't noticed, I'm going to be trying to do a live video once a day, just updating you. I'm thinking of calling the show The Three Monkeys. And that way, no one can have an excuse and say, I did not hear, I did not see, I did not talk. And I'll try to bring you some interesting, relevant news that are happening all around the globe in regard to the Middle East with my expertise as someone who was an officer in the IDF and the Special Forces and negotiator, but also try to give you some kind of an insight to what is happening in the world and help together here to better understand, because I feel like mainstream media might not be covering it properly. And when they often accidentally cover things properly, there's always, you take it with a salt of grain. There's something happening behind the scene why they choose suddenly to report this and ignore that. For example, everybody's ignoring the massacre of the Druze in Syria, of the Christians in Syria, in Sudan, all around the world. Meanwhile, everybody's focused on Gaza and what's happening in Gaza. There is a reason for that. And you need to always be able to look beyond. But coming back to the story of Qatar, the United States, we want to give the doubt that something good might be coming out of this, but we also can't ignore the fact that there's a lot of concerning questions, serious questions that should be asked. And if I was an American citizen, I would be definitely asking these questions. Why are you allowing Qataris to build a military base inside the United States? Why are you not banning any funds that is coming from Qatar. Obviously, they're not funding your programs to make America great again. They're not funding programs to help strengthen the family ties and the family bond and the family cell in the United States and the American values, Christian values. They're not doing that. They're supporting Antifa. They're supporting radical jihadists in your country. Look at Europe. What's happening in Europe? Look at the UK. Qatar have basically almost bought the entire UK. Qatar and China are buying England, and they're just selling themselves to them. And you can see what's happening in the streets. So there's definitely, undoubtedly, a very conflicting points of interest here that should not be ignored. Either way, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Like I said, I'm going to be doing lives on a daily basis, hopefully trying to give you some updates. If you want to help support this channel, do the like, share, subscribe, help these videos go out there, and also go and check my Patreon. We can find practical, direct ways to support the work that I'm doing. But until then, don't do anything stupid, and in general, don't dance with the devil. It's not a wise thing to do. Bad things happen when you start doing that. Stay safe. See you next time.